And we're back with Tech Talk Radio. And I'll tell you what, when we get ready for the holidays, there's so many cool things to look at. And every year we kind of wait for that one special thing. But honestly, this one is above and beyond what we could have expected. And we have with us standing by and a demonstration for you, for those that want to jump on and check out the video, the co-CEO, Kevin Mowrer, the co-CEO of Huge. Thank you, Kevin, for coming on the show.
Well, my pleasure, Andy, and so nice to be on the show.
You know, Talking Tom has been around for a while, and we have found a way, you have found a way to kind of combine Talking Tom itself and the technology that's out there to really make this an interactive experience. Tell us a little bit about how this all came to be.
Well, you have to go back a little over a year, and myself and several other executives out of the world of toys and entertainment got together and said, look, there's got to be a much crazier, more direct-to-fan way to do all of this, right? I mean, I myself, and frankly, everybody else in the company, we are fans. Right? We're into comic books, we're into games, we're into movies, we're into toys, we're into play. And there's just this stuff that we have always wanted to do and always wanted to make for fans. So we got together, we created Huge Play, which is direct to fan. We actually don't sell at any retail. And basically chased everybody else out of the room. And what we do is put 100% of the funds that would normally go out to everybody else into making something amazing. And that's what this product is. It's the first our company is putting out, but we set the bar way up here to do something that was technologically extraordinary. This little fella has artificial intelligence in his head. He holds an incredible amount of programming, and he connects directly to your mobile gaming, your Talking Tom games. And while you play, he knows exactly what's happening, and real time he acts as a streamer.
That is amazing.
Wow. You know, use my favorite symmetrical word.
And by the way, he has his own attitude, and he constantly says stuff, and so he's a ton of fun.
Now, this is geared at what age group would you say?
Well, this is really for all family. I wouldn't call this a kid's product. Frankly, we call it a piece of living game gear.
Yeah.
So really, it's for that 7, 8 to 14, and 14 and up as well. So and when you play with him, you'll notice that the content that's in him, although it's very appropriate and super funny, it's not dialed down. It's really meant to be serious gaming fun.
Now, can more skills be added? And you know, you've got him here. How many hours of content does he really have that he could go through?
Well, if you take a half-hour show and you compress the content, it comes down to about 5 minutes. We have 5 hours of compressed content in this little.
Spectacular.
Yes. And he has voice recognition.
Oh, that's great. So he's responding to stuff that you're saying. He can kind of understand, and that's where the AI comes in.
Well, the AI does 3 things. One is while you're playing the game, because he knows everything that's happening in the game live, he's actually commenting on your game, even giving you game hints. Watch out for that. Oh, turn left. Oh, be very careful with that. Oh, you do know that those guys have this, that, and the other thing. And he keeps track of your score. He knows how much of the coins you picked up. And frankly, even when you turn the game off, he goes into the second mode, which is called free play mode. And he starts listening to what you're saying and asks you questions, and you drive the conversation around these crazy subjects, because he stays in character. He's Talking Tom. And the third mode is, there's this mode that is called command mode.
Right.
And in the app, there's literally hundreds of acting routines and phrases, and you can call them up and puppet him and make your own video content, interrupt Zoom calls, harass the cat, whatever you want to do. He's in your control in that third mode.
Now, the eyes are amazing because they're very expressive. How is that done? Is that like a screen of some kind?
Absolutely. Frankly, we have a number of patents all throughout his wonderful head. And some of them are for these eyes. There's these extraordinary lenses that are in front of two very high quality LCDs. And, we live in the age of animation. So his eyes don't just move, they're full on animation, and all kinds of interesting things pop up there depending on what he's talking about.
I got to ask you, what was the moment like when you go through your first prototype and you get it set up and it starts really working and you see these expressions? That had to be exhilarating for you as a creator.
Best ever. Just say it.
I love this.
Well, he's. Why do you even have me on the interview? Just talk to him,
I
right?
can just interview him. Yeah.
It was an incredible moment. I have to give credit where credit is due. The executive team brainstormed this item, a little over a year ago. In the middle of COVID, well, basically we created and produced this, brought it to market. The executive team has only been in person 4 times.
Wow.
But it was incredible when it actually started doing what it was supposed to do. And to be honest, again, because we're different, we're not the same as other companies. Once we saw what it could do initially, frankly, we dove in even further and we started adding more functionality rather than trying to pull things out. So, we want to make this massively profitable, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, yes, we have to be profitable, but because we're fans, we really do focus on making this a crazy experience for the fans that we would love to have this.
Well, would Talking Tom only interact with games that you're playing that are basically the Talking Tom games? Is it special games that are developed just for this experience?
Super, super good question. For the GameBud Talking Tom, GameBud's a brand, Talking Tom is the license. It starts out with 2 of the Outfit 7 games. And I don't know if you know this or not, but the Outfit 7 games have had literally billions and billions of downloads. It's crazy.
Yeah, I've got it on my smartphone.
Awesome. Hundreds of millions of weekly users. There's this massive fan base out there. But because of who he is and this little incredible AI that's in his head, we're going to be able to update additional games over the course of next year. So he's starting with 2, where he's probably going to have 3 or 4 by the end of next year. And you actually upload additional content into him that is DLC, just like in a video game.
Right. Very cool.
So if you want like birthday content, or you want ridiculous, if you want to make your own song to like taunt people when you win, there's even DLC for interactively creating, your own unique song with them. It's crazy.
How was it putting the group together? I mean, GameBud, you've got your company, you've got Outfit 7. Everybody was on board right away?
Absolutely. We actually met them through some very good friends of ours who are working with them on a new TV show, and they're licensing Epic Story Media.
Right.
They introduced us. Honestly, it was an incredible kind of love fest. Day one, they're amazing people. They really are. They're extraordinarily passionate about what they do, and just a dream to work with. And I think early on, they got the vision that we had for just how incredibly high function we could make this. And they've been working with us virtually every single step of the way to achieve that.
Now, as far as charging, as far as the power operations for it, everything needs power. I don't know if you feed it. How is it powered, and how long can you get a charge out of that?
Well, he has a small USB port on the back. Every now and then he'll talk to you about it, and he
Really?
gets a little slightly embarrassing. But you plug in the USB, he'll let you know when he needs to be charged, and you plug in the USB line, and it can be off your computer or off a charger block. It doesn't take too terribly long to charge him up. I want to say half hour, 40 minutes. And depending on how what you're doing with him, like gameplay. You can get 2 to 3 hours of nonstop gameplay, and there's very few people who play, mobile games for 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
And it's funny because over the years, I'm a parent, so I've seen it. Talking Elmo. We've seen some of the other things that have come out, and they were big when they came out. And I forget those babies that were out there. They were kind of scary looking, but those were big. This really, this really is just the tip of the iceberg, I think, of what you're going to be able to do. Now, parents don't have to be worried that it's not Talking Tom's not going to suddenly walk around the house. I mean, he's you put him up and there it is. It's a fun experience for the kids. And I think the parents going to have some fun with this too. I'm totally loving this.
fantastic. And, it's one thing I think is important to say is although he does have a microphone, there's no camera. We don't save any data. It doesn't get pushed to any server, and you can't hack what you don't have.
Right.
It's all literally real time in this. This is, again, part of putting in an extraordinary, powerful chip in his head. It's all actually processed real time in his head. So it makes, frankly,
so good.
I know it does. That's.
I think he touched his ear.
I mean, a lot of people just that we've been having test this out literally just leave him on because he's a smart aleck and he says stuff and he's a blast. It's like hanging out with somebody for sure. So
a good security device too. Somebody breaks in, they see it, they run. I like it.
Or you find them playing with him like, they're home.
Exactly. Now, how much is this going to be going for retail? And you said our listeners are going to be able to order this. They're not going to be able to go into a retail store and do it. And this way, you're able to keep the costs down a little that way, aren't you?
Actually, a lot. It would be about twice what I'm going to tell you if it was at retail, because there's everybody else's margins in between, the manufacturer and getting into retail. But because we're direct to fan, again, we just cut the price. So for this remarkable little guy, he is $99.
That's it.
That's it.
That's pretty darn good. I will tell you this. I've spent a lot of money on stuff, for my kids growing up. This would be like, oh yeah, we're getting this. This would be cool.
Awesome. And we're not only doing $99 for the price, but I'm sure you and most people out there have read about or seen the incredible mess that's happening with shipping anything. Mm-hmm. Right. And most toys are not going to make it on shelf this year. If you're going to buy them, it's going to be January when you and the family gets them. Yeah. But actually, we've made the commitment. We are air shipping Talking Tom, especially the first 10,000, and I'll tell you about those, directly to the consumer. So especially that first 10,000, which is an unusual grouping, so we're going to guarantee, I don't want to say guarantee, but it's much more certain that you'll receive it before Christmas.
Oh, perfect. Now, so when is the start date? When is the date that you plan to start taking orders? And you're doing pre-orders now, aren't you?
We actually, this is a perfect time to be talking because tomorrow is the day that all the pre-order goes live.
Right. And we recorded this for our listeners that are listening on the radio. We recorded this earlier this week on Monday. So now you could do the pre-orders. You could actually pick it up. Pick him up. I feel bad saying it. I want to say pick him up because I feel like it's real.
That's what we wanted to achieve with this little guy. And by the way, in the first 10,000 of them, not only do you get literally a certificate of numbered authenticity, only the first 10,000 are going to have them. We saw this happen with the early Furbies, that the people who got the early ones, they became crazy valuable. But then he also gets a superhero mask that you can put on him so he looks like in Hero Dash, Talking Tom Hero Dash game. And that's only the first 10,000, but we think that's pretty cool.
Now, that was Talking Tom. Now, will this be available? And just a question, because this is something that's going to be a global phenomenon. Will it be available in other languages?
It will, but that will be next year when we start taking it out to other territories, and it will be in other languages as well, where frankly, we're already in those conversations. And there's a tremendous amount of interest to do that. So for sure, we'll be in other territories.
I'm just absolutely loving the concept. For our listeners want to get more information, Kevin, where do they need to go to?
Just go to GameBud.com.
GameBud.com. They can check him out there. And again, thank you so much for coming on and showing. This is just an amazing, amazing device. Great ingenuity. So, kudos to all of you there that have put this together.
Thank you, Andy, so much for having me on the show. And Tom, thanks you as well. So
very cool. We're going to take a break. We'll be back with more of Tech Talk Radio.